Peace and blessings, everybody. This is Unplugem Jack. I'm down here at the GorillaShark headquarters with my main man, Fini Dolo. We wanted to bring something to you today we haven't heard anyone speak about in the truth of community. Something that affects not only the people of Detroit, but I feel people in other major cities should be aware of this as well. We've all heard of the sacrifice ritual. We're all aware of the Illuminati and secret societies and how they sacrifice individuals. But have you considered that there's also a mass sacrifice, a rebirth and death ritual being done on an entire city right before your very eyes? I maintain that that city is Detroit, Michigan, and I have some evidence to support that fact. There's a speaking of death over Detroit that's been going on for some time. I've seen it escalate over the years. We've always had sort of a reputation in this city, but I've never seen anything like what I've seen happening now. There are a number of books and media programs that tout Detroit's death and they talk about the decline of the city. And I want to point out a few of them to you, as well as some examples in movies and film that show me that those who make plans behind closed doors, the secret societies, have indeed marked our city for a death and rebirth ritual. And my first exhibit for that I want to give you is the show Detroit 187. Now, we're going to go down through a few of these just to kind of build the case. So I just want to touch on the key points for each one, and then if you want to go back afterward and look up certain things yourself, feel free to do so. But I just want to kind of give you the points. Detroit 187, which was killed. It was a show that came on ABC, which we now know is a Disney production. And Disney, as most researchers know, is very heavily steeped in mind control and MK Ultra. So my theory is that Detroit 187 also carries with it Masonic Numerology. 187 is not the penal code for Michigan, and certainly not for Detroit. Now in Hollywood, however, in Los Angeles, where we grew up on West Coast rap, we heard about Snoop and Dre 187. We know 187 stands for murder.
That's the penal code in Cali.
Exactly. And then when you add up the numbers, 1 plus 8 is 9, plus 7 is 16. And to do numerology completely, you must break it down to one number. So we take the 16 we end up with and add those numbers, 1 and 6, that's 7. So Detroit 187 means Detroit murder, or Detroit 7. 7 stands for completion in numerology, the end of something. Now there is a plot or a plan to create within our minds that there's the end or the death of our city, and then of course we're going to lead to a rebirth. All of this is Masonic ritual. It goes back to some of you may remember the video by T.I., The Old Me Is Dead and Gone. In that video he shows and proves the Masonic rebirth and death ritual. Some people have discovered that within the Brotherhood, Skull and Bones, and Masons by and large, there is a ritual in which you begin in a coffin, and you're raised up by the lion's paw and reborn as a new individual. Well, that's being symbolically done to Detroit. They're killing the city in order to raise it up as a new individual, much like Beyonce was killed in the Crazy in Love video, and then was reborn as Sasha Fierce after she was destroyed. Now, also, some of you may have seen my video on the back of the $5 bill. When you fold the $5 bill in the same manner that people know about the 20, and you see the Twin Towers on the back of the 20, on the back of the 5, I maintain that there is indeed a representation of the iconic building in downtown Detroit here, the Renaissance building. Okay, destruction porn, ruin porn. A big trend now on YouTube is people looking up Detroit ruin porn or destruction porn, where some people think it's a cool thing to go around the city and take pictures of the destruction and the ruin from so much abandonment, both commercial abandonment and residential abandonment. And this has become a big thing. So that is helping to fuel in the psyches and the minds of people that Detroit is through. Remember, these rituals must first take place in the mind. It's mind control 101. Then you have a guy here, Charlie LaDuff. His job, in my opinion, he's a reporter here. He has a very particular job, and that's to help to pump into the minds of the people that live in Detroit that it is indeed dead. He has a book that he's been promoting recently, along with his news stories nightly.
Book, huh?
Yeah, you know, and his book, ironically, was called Detroit, An American Autopsy. So he's pronouncing us dead.
Wasn't that a documentary before too, or something? Or somebody else used that?
Now I'm not sure.
I heard somebody else put something with the title American Autopsy behind it.
See, I'm not sure if someone else did that, but I wouldn't be surprised because I don't particularly think the Duff is all that creative and great anyway. But you know, he's doing his job to to help speak death over Detroit.
Yeah, because he came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and he's not from here, and yet his job as a white man, as a white reporter, is to constantly air out mostly black city government officials and creating, both in the minds of black and white people, a sense that black people are inadequate to run the city and that we now need white people. This also goes back to 8 Mile. 8 Mile was early pre-programming to help put in our mind that we can't handle it. We need somebody to come hold our hand and lead us to the promised land and show us the way. And I maintain that 8 Mile, once again, you have the 8, very prevalent in Masonic Numerology. The infinity, believing that their snake system is going to rule forever. Robocop 2, perhaps my most scathing example. Robocop 2, and all of the Robocop movies are set in Detroit, but Robocop 2 especially, because Robocop 2, they had Kwame Kilpatrick's caricature is in Robocop 2, which makes you kind of want to rethink the whole Kwame thing, the whole dynamic. But when I was young, coming up, and I saw the movie, I thought it was strange for them to pick this young, silly, rapper-aged guy to play the mayor of Detroit when all we had ever known was Old Man Coleman Young. And it just seemed like
Matter of fact, Coleman Young was married when that came out.
Right and exact. And it really seemed like a real stretch to me, that they would pick this guy.
Yeah, to have him so young, yeah.
And didn't they make sure that, like, you really noticed his youth and his inability?
Yeah.
Right. That's right.
He was almost feeble-minded.
Exactly. And very immature. But in the movie, he gets duped. Just summarize it. He gets duped into selling the city over to greater interests. And I maintain that is not only what Kwame did, but what they brought him in here to do. Because if you look at movies as behavior modification programs or as mind control programs, you have to ask yourself, well, what were they trying to say with the movie? They were trying to prepare us, first of all, for an old Detroit and a new Detroit split, which is what you're going to see happening now. In the death rebirth ritual, in order for order to be brought forth, it is believed by these wizards that first chaos must come. They believe that out of chaos comes order. Right. So that's why they believe in tearing up stuff and then rebuilding from it. Now, unfortunately, that also brings me from the old Detroit, new Detroit theory into some other premonitory things I've seen in more recent movies and a couple more old school ones too. In the Transformers. Transformers 4 is set to film in Michigan. Transformers 1 was filmed in downtown Detroit, and it had nothing to do with the movie, which should always make your spidey senses tingle.
Right.
Why shoot in a city like Detroit, and Detroit is not a character in the movie? Well, I maintain that that's because...
Wait, where the destruction was going on the actual streets. You could see the street signs.
Right, exactly. Right, and exact. And Jay, I believe that the whole scene was shot for the street signs.
Because they had them in there. They didn't have to have them street signs in there.
Exactly. And most people who are not from Detroit would not know anything about why the street signs would be there. But we're going to come back in part 2, and we're going to talk about those street signs and a little bit more on Transformers, its meaning as a whole, and then we're going to hit They Live and bring it on home with Vanishing on 7th Street.
Motor City Autobots.
No doubt about it. So join us again. We're here live at Gorilla Shark with my man, Fini Dolo, and check us out on the next video. Peace.